Most English learners think that getting from the B1 to B2 speaking level is just about learning more vocabulary, but that's not true. This is necessary, but the real secret is understanding the key elements needed for high-level professional communication. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 essential steps I use with my clients to unstuck their English. I'm going to share how to improve your fluency level, use better language, hold a conversation the right way, connect your ideas, and share your thoughts on complex topics. By the end of this video, you will have a clear, actionable plan to go from B1 to B2 speaking level of English. Imagine you are in an important work meeting. You understand the discussion perfectly. You have great ideas, but when it's your turn to speak, the words just don't come out with the same level of expertise you feel. You can get your point across, sure, but you feel like you've hit a wall. You use the same phrases, you make the same small mistakes, and you don't sound like the high-level specialist you truly are. This is not just a language problem, it's a career problem. It's the barrier standing between you and the next promotion, the better paying clients, and the financial freedom you're working so hard for. Before we dive in, let's be clear about what this jump from B1 to B2 really means for a professional like you. A B1 speaker can handle everyday work tasks. You can give a simple project update or talk about your responsibilities. But your speech might feel slow, maybe even hesitant. You pause a lot, translating in your head, searching for the right word, which can undermine your authority. A B2 speaker, on the other hand, that's a completely different level of professional confidence. They speak with a flow and spontaneity that makes communication with international colleagues and international clients feel natural and effortless. They aren't just participating, they are leading the conversation. They can argue a complex point, negotiate a deal, and defend their strategy with precision and detail. The main reason you feel stuck is the gap between what you understand and what you can produce. The strategies that got you here, memorizing vocabulary lists, doing basic grammar drills, they built the foundation, but they won't build the skyscraper. You need a new approach. So today, we're not just talking about what to learn, but how to shift your mindset and your methods to finally break through that intermediate plateau. Before I get started with the tips here, let me invite you to book a one-on-one call with me if you need more help and guidance on discovering your English level. This is a 90-minute call on Zoom where you and I will connect and talk. I'll be asking you questions, listening to you speak English closely, and taking lots of notes. By the end of the session, I will give you what your estimate level is currently and what you have to do next to keep seeing massive improvement. If you are interested in booking a one-on-one call with me for more guidance, link in the description of the video. The first tip I have for you is about mastering your fluency and speaking with authority. The most obvious difference between a B1 and a B2 speaker, in a professional setting, is fluency. A B1 speaker can deliver a message, but it often comes with pauses, self-corrections, and the sounds that signal uncertainty. Your brain is working on overload. It's translating from a native language, searching for that specific business term, and trying to build a grammatically correct sentence, all while the client is waiting for your answer. That's a lot of pressure. A B2 speaker sounds smoother. Their ideas are connected. Their flow is confident and easy for a manager or client to follow. This is your first goal, to speak with a natural, authoritative flow. So, how do you fix this? First, learn to buy yourself time to think like a strategist. B1 learners use or which can make you sound like you're struggling. B2 speakers use specific phrases to sound thoughtful while their brain catches up. Instead of a long pause, try using professional fillers like, "That's an interesting question. My initial thought is," or "Let me just take a moment to consider that." Or, You know, it's funny you should ask that because we were just discussing, or to be honest, that's a complex issue. But I'd say, and you can also go, I mean, or actually. These phrases do two things. One, they signal that you are processing, not panicking. Two, they give your brain a few crucial seconds to structure a strong response. Your goal for your next work meeting: use one of these phrases instead of or Second, you have to practice speaking for longer. This is non negotiable. To build speaking stamina for long meetings, you have to speak. You need to move from short, simple sentences to developing and defending your ideas. Here's a practical exercise you can do, even with limited time: the 1 minute pitch. Choose a work related topic. For example, should our team adopt this new software? Or what are the pros and cons of our current marketing strategy? Set a timer for 1 minute and just talk. Don't stop. It will feel hard at first. You will run out of things to say. But the point is to push through the hesitation. The goal here is flow and endurance, not perfection. Third, you have to start thinking in English. This is the mental shift that changes everything. Translating in your head is the bottleneck slowing you down and killing your confidence. You have to break this habit. Start small, in moments you already have. When you're writing an email, narrate it in your head. Okay, I'm starting my Q4 report. The key metric I need to highlight is... It feels silly, but you are building direct neural pathways to English. The more you think in English, the faster and more fluently the words will come out when the pressure is on. The second tip I have for you today is about supercharging your professional vocabulary and grammar. If fluency is the engine, then your range of grammar and vocabulary is the fuel. A B1 speaker has a basic toolbox. They use simple tenses and common words. A campaign was good. A result was bad. A new idea is interesting. It works, but it doesn't sound like a senior specialist. To get to B2, you have to demonstrate a much bigger, more precise toolbox. This is how you sound like the expert you truly are. Let's start with grammar. At B2, you need to confidently use more complex structures to discuss business scenarios. Here are a few to master. Conditionals. B1 speakers know if we finish the project, the client will be happy. But for B2, you need the others to discuss strategy and hypotheticals. You could say, if we had a larger budget, we would target a wider audience. Or even, if we had launched in Q2, we would have avoided the summer slump. Practice by analyzing past projects and future possibilities with what-if scenarios. Also, the passive voice. B1 speakers often overuse the active voice. We launched the new feature last week. The passive voice is crucial for formal reports and sounding more objective. A B2 speaker would write in a report, the new feature was launched last week. The focus is on the action and result, which sounds more professional. Also, modal verbs for speculation. Instead of just saying, maybe the client is happy, a B2 speaker communicates with more nuance and certainty. They must be happy with the results. You see, I'm almost sure. Or they could be waiting for the final report. That's a possibility. They can't be displeased. We hit every target. I'm almost sure that's not true. Now, for vocabulary, this is about more than just learning new words. It's about precision and impact. First, try to eliminate very. It's a crutch word that weakens your authority. So replace very in the adjective with a single, more powerful word. For example, instead of very good results, say excellent results, outstanding results. Instead of a very bad quarter, say a terrible quarter, a dreadful quarter. Instead of a very interesting idea, say a fascinating idea, a compelling idea. Second, learn synonyms and nuances. Precision is what separates a junior from a senior specialist. For example, your customers don't just like a product, They might appreciate, they might value or endorse, or even be loyal to it. Each word has a different strategic meaning. When you learn a new word, look up example sentences in a business context. Third, embrace phrasal verbs and idioms. I know they seem illogical sometimes, but they are essential for sounding natural in conversations with native speaking colleagues. A B1 speaker might say, "We need to solve this problem," which is fine, but a B2 speaker would more likely say, "We need to figure out a solution," or "We need to iron out this issue." Finally, develop topic-specific vocabulary for your field. To talk like a marketing specialist, for example, you need to use the words of a marketing specialist. The best way is through exposure. Read an industry report, listen to a podcast about marketing trends, and make a list of the key vocabulary. Then, practice using those words by summarizing the key takeaways out loud. The third tip I have for you is about becoming an interactive communicator. One of the biggest shifts from B1 to B2 is moving from a passive answer provider to an active conversation driver. A B1 speaker can answer questions. If your manager asks what you did yesterday, you can tell them. But then the conversation stops. It feels like an interview, not a collaboration. A B2 speaker does more. They contribute, they guide, they show engagement. They understand that a work conversation is a dance, not a quiz. So, how do you become a true conversational partner? First, master the follow-up question. This is your most powerful tool for demonstrating engagement and intelligence. Whenever a colleague says something, your first instinct should be to ask a question that digs deeper. Let's say your colleague says, "The client presentation went well." The B1 response might be, "Oh, good." You see, end of conversation. But the B2 response is a strategic question. For example, "That's great to hear. What was their feedback on the new proposal?" Or, "Excellent. Were there any questions or concerns we need to address?" These questions show you're listening and thinking strategically. Your goal is to become genuinely curious. Second, get comfortable expressing and justifying your opinions. B1 speakers are often afraid to share what they really think. At B2, you must contribute your expert opinion. It's not enough to say, "I agree." You have to explain why from a strategic standpoint. You need a toolbox of phrases for this. For example, "In my opinion," "the way I see it," "the data suggests," "I completely agree because." That's a great point. And to add to that, and of course, disagreeing politely. This is critical for a specialist. You don't want to sound aggressive. Try, "I see your point, but have we considered," or "I understand where you're coming from. However, I think we should also look at." Third, learn to take control of the conversation. Don't always wait to be called on. A B2 speaker is confident enough to initiate a topic or pivot the discussion. Phrases like, "Speaking of the budget, that reminds me," or "By the way, I wanted to ask you about the Q3 timeline." These phrases are perfect for this. This is a change in mindset. You move from, "I hope I answered this question correctly," to, "How can I add value and shape the outcome of this conversation?" You see the difference? That's the real mark of a B2 level professional. Tip number 4, weave your speech together for maximum impact. This next tip sounds academic, but it's a simple technique that makes you sound incredibly articulate and persuasive. It's all about how you structure and connect your ideas. A B1 speaker often connects ideas with just "and," "but," and "because." Their speech can sound like a simple list of facts. It's choppy and lacks persuasive flow. Listen to this B1 level project update. "The campaign did well. We reached our goal. The budget was tight. We had some problems with the ads. The client is happy." The facts are there, but it doesn't sound like a strategic analysis. Now, listen to the B2 version. "Overall, the campaign was a success, primarily because we managed to reach our main KPI. However, We faced some challenges along the way, particularly concerning the ad spend, which was quite tight. Despite this, we resolved the issues by reallocating the budget. As a result, the client is satisfied with the outcome, which puts us in a strong position for the next quarter. See the difference? Now you are building an argument. Words like however, particularly, despite this, and as a result, are signposts for your listener. They make your analysis clear, logical, and far more convincing. So, how do you do this? You upgrade your toolbox of linking words. For example, for adding ideas, instead of and, try in addition, moreover, furthermore. For contrasting ideas, instead of but, try however, nevertheless, on the other hand, despite. For reasons and results, instead of because or so, try as a result, consequently, therefore, due to. To give examples, instead of just listing, you can say, for instance, to illustrate, a case in point is. Your first step is to learn these. Choose a few each week. Your second, more important step is to use them. Before you give a project update, take 30 seconds to plan your structure. Consciously decide to use, on the one hand, in addition, and as a result, for example. This forces you to organize your thoughts logically and makes you sound far more strategic. Tip number 5, talk about more than just your tasks. The final leap from B1 to B2 is expanding the range of topics you can discuss with authority. A B1 speaker is good at talking about their personal world and their immediate tasks, their project, their team, their deadlines. A B2 speaker can do that, but they can also step into the world of abstract strategic ideas. They can discuss industry trends, competitive analysis, long-term business strategy, or concepts like brand equity. This is what gets you a seat at the decision-making table. So, how do you develop this ability? First, consume a wider range of high-level English content. You can't talk about what you don't know. Expand your English diet beyond day-to-day communication. For example, you can read industry news in English. Pick one article a day from a source like Harvard Business Review or a marketing journal if you work in marketing. Watch documentaries and TED Talks on business, leadership, and technology. They are perfect for learning how to explain complex ideas clearly. Listen to podcasts on subjects outside your immediate role, like economics, innovation, or global markets. But consumption is only half of it. You have to practice producing language about these complex topics. Here's a powerful weekly exercise that fits a busy schedule. First, choose your topic. Pick one business news story or an idea from a podcast you've listened to. Let's say it's about the impact of AI on marketing. Then, gather your ideas. Review the material and pull out key vocabulary. Maybe you'll see words like automation, data analytics, customer personalization. Then, practice explaining it. First, summarize the topic out loud, as if you are explaining it to a colleague who missed the article. Then, practice explaining the pros and cons. This is a classic B2 skill. User linking words. On the one hand, a major advantage of AI is. However, a significant risk is. Also, practice giving your professional opinion. Share your own strategic perspective. In my opinion, I believe the shift towards AI in marketing is an opportunity we must invest in because you have to force yourself to do this. Record yourself on your phone and listen back. It will feel hard. You will search for words, but that struggle is where the growth happens. You are building the mental muscles for high-level strategic thought in English. Look, breaking through that B1 plateau requires a new map. The old strategies that got you here won't get you to the next level of your career. The journey from B1 to B2 is an active, conscious process of upskilling. Let's quickly recap the 5 strategies I shared with you today. Number 1, speak with authority. Replace ums and us with professional thinking phrases. Practice speaking for longer and think directly in English. Number 2, supercharge your toolkit. Use more complex grammar to discuss strategy and precise vocabulary to sound like the expert you are. 3, become an interactive communicator. Ask strategic follow-up questions and share your justified opinions to lead conversations. 4, weave your speech together. Use advanced linking words to structure your ideas for maximum impact and persuasion. And 5, broaden your horizons. Consume and practice talking about the complex, strategic topics that define a leader in your field. Moving from B1 to B2 is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes patience and consistent, focused practice. There will be days you feel like you're not making progress. That's normal. The key is to be intentional. You don't need to spend hours a day studying, but every time you speak, choose one small thing to focus on. Maybe today, your goal is just to use however instead of but in a meeting. These small, targeted efforts build up over time and create a huge transformation. You are no longer a beginner. You are on the verge of becoming a confident, independent English speaker who can achieve their professional goals. This is the path to the career, the income, and the freedom you are fighting for. You can do this. If you're serious about taking your English to the next level and want more no-nonsense guidance on fluency and confidence, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you need more guidance, book a one-on-one call with me. It's going to be great to talk to you for about an hour and a half, get to know you and your professional context better, and help you with the next steps to take your English to the next level. You can book a call by clicking the link in the description of the video. I'm Thiago, I'm signing off, and if you want to keep learning more about how to communicate as a confident B2 level speaker of English, I highly recommend you check out this lesson next, which goes in more detail about that. See you soon.